Hey, hello everyone. So let's talk about what is database, what are the different kinds of databases, and how the databases are going to be useful in the field of software engineering. That is all about today's discussion. In this particular video, we are going to give basic idea about what is database. It can be useful for the people who ever wanted to enter into an IT, because database plays a very critical role or crucial role. As you already know, today I am here to discuss more about database techniques and database types. If my database, if I have not been stored all the information in my database, I might not be able to pick for you people now, right? That's where even for a human, yes, we have a database. Of course, for a human also, yes, there is a content which we can store for a temporary purpose. There is a content that we can store for permanent cause. Hope you understand. So there are different kind of memories in computer science as well. You already know that one is RAM, another one is ROM. However, computer also need a data storage. Random access memory, read-only memory. I don't want to jump into that RAM and ROM because every one of you people are already aware of it. Now, I would like to step into our database, how database is going to be useful for the software engineers, no matter whether you are going to become a full stack developer or maybe a front-end developer or software test engineer or cloud engineer or data science or data analytics or AI engineer. This concept is really worth watching. So let us jumping into the concept and database. Now let us talk about what is database. Guys, listen carefully. Database is a structured way of presentation. You see that database is a structured way of collection of data. Database, structured collection of data stored in electronically. For that, I'll give you a simple example. If you go to any government offices earlier, way back 20 years back, all the data people are stored in the format of books, physically books. Now, sometimes if you guys would like to retrieve that information, as you already know that if the paper quality is not so great, if the pen ink quality is not so great, and there is a chances that you are going to lose the data. But electronically, if you store the data, it will definitely sustain for ages. It will be available for generations. Hope you understand. That is the power of storing the information electronically inside the devices. Okay, that's where in case if you wanted to manage any kind of a data for any application, then you definitely need a database. And popular databases, if you can see, yes, of course there are many, and I'm just here displaying MySQL is one of the popular database. MongoDB is also another popular database. Similarly, there is Oracle, PostgreSQL, DynamoDB, Cassandra, CouchDB, and even Amazon ODS and Google SQL. There are many XYZ options are there in the industry. Now, it is helping you to organize the data either in the format of tables. If your guys are going for RDBMS or DBMS related databases, of course, the data is going to store in the form of rows and columns. Okay, but there are a couple of cases, rows and column database might not be useful for us to store a different kind of a schema format data. That's where MongoDB comes into the picture, which has key value pairs. That is called collections. Each collection also has different kind of key value pairs that we'll try to talk in depth about MySQL and MongoDB or NoSQL and SQL related in the upcoming sessions. But here, let us talk more about the database and database types and their benefits. Now, which is majorly useful for accessing the data, easy to access, and if you wanted to update the data or if you would like to retrieve the data, then which is very important. Guys, listen carefully. The main purpose of database is, first, it is helping us to store the data for the future benefits. If the data is not stored, definitely we might not be able to use it for future. However, in your home, if you have items, groceries, then you can pick those groceries for preparing a food. For storing groceries can be called as a data. And if you are storing that inside a kitchen, there is a containers which can be called as database. Hope you understand. Tables. Each container holding the data. Hope you understand. That is how you guys have to relate. Nothing, see, software engineering is dead easy if you guys are comparing all the concept with respect to real-time examples which you guys are visiting day in day out activities. Hope you understand. That is where I pick this house. Even your kitchen is also a kind of a database. Each rack can be called as a data. Whenever your mother needs to prepare a food, she is picking up the data. That is called retrieving the data. Sometimes she is storing some data into a racks for a further use. That is called inserting data into a database. Sometimes if the data, some data is not useful, and what your mother is doing, she is just collecting some data, she is throwing into a garbage because it is useless. That is called deletion. Sometimes she is also adding some more information. For example, we have 1 kg of sugar, but due to Diwali festival, in case if you want to buy extra kgs, where are we going to keep it? If I have a container which contains 1 kg, now I purchased another additional 5 kgs, I'll try to put it into that particular container. Then 1 plus 5, it will become 6 kgs. What is that? This is called updation. I hope you understand. I'm not taking you guys away from the concept, but we are still alive inside a concept. Hope you guys have understood the concept. Okay, that is how retrieval commonly used for any applications and web apps, for mobile, for web applications, for desktop applications. Everywhere these databases are very, very important. Okay, this is just a basic idea about what is database. Next, let us talk about types of databases. This is something quite interesting. Guys, listen carefully. Relational databases. Whereas come to relational, this is very, very important. And there is another one, distributed and NoSQL. Just an example. What do you mean by relational databases? What do you mean by NoSQL databases? What do you mean by distributed databases? It is exclusively very important concept for everyone. If you are storing the data in the format of, you all can see that these are the examples, either MySQL, PostgreSQL or Oracle is an example for relational databases where the data is stored in the format of rows and columns. That is what I already explained. Now when it comes to NoSQL, because SQL, as you already know, SQL is a language which is helping you people to perform an operations against the database, which is relational database. Now see, as a student during 2004, when I started learning databases, MS Access is a database that I started learning. Prior to that, people are using MS Excel for storing the data. Even Excel still alive. You know that there are thousands of opportunities are there for Excel developers and Excel users as well. That story is different. Now Excel, then MS Access, then MS, Microsoft, also has a different kind of databases. Next, Sun Microsystem, even Oracle, PostgreSQL, MySQL, like that. There is a lot of innovations comes into a picture, and even first database management system. I learned DBMS. Then again there are a couple of changes came into the picture, that is RDBMS, and relationship between a one table to another table. Generally, if you guys are working in any application, there are many cases we might need to store the information in multiple data tables. But think about it while retrieving. Just one example I'll give you. Being an user, okay, I have multiple orders. If I am storing, if I wanted to fetch whatever the orders which I already placed earlier, think about it. If I am storing all the order information and student user information in a single table, it is clumsy. Say yes or no? It is difficult for us to store same user data and order data. That is where we have to take order information out from user table, and we have to create a separate table to avoid the duplicate anomalies, and there are a lot of duplicate content. Then yes, of course, in order to retrieve the information with respect to a user about his orders, then the data is there in two different tables. So yes or no? Then how are we going to fetch? That is where relationships is important. Primary and foreign key relationships. We'll talk more about them a little later. So that is how relational database innovation, they invented that. But there are few reasons. Yes, few examples. As you already know that nobody is satisfied with any one product, because there is innovation is always, there is a choice. Got my point? That is where today, one simple example I'll give you. See, human invented a bicycle. Do you think that human is happy with the bicycle? Still innovation stopped? No, right? Then after that motorcycle came. After that there is two-wheeler, four-wheelers came. Again, transportation wise, if you can see, train transportation, even air transportation, even inside sea also there is a different kind of transportations are available. That's why there is no a stopper for innovations. That is why everywhere there is innovations, even in databases also there are innovations. NoSQL databases like MongoDB, the data which we are going to store in the format of key value. So that is even effective than SQL based databases. Then even cloud, distributed databases like cloud and distributed databases also. Yes, of course, there are a couple of small applications are not going to be used dedicated databases. They might need distributed databases, and in such cases they are using distributed. And couple of places, even for example, if you are going for Amazon or Microsoft Azure, then cloud databases also we are going to use. Then object oriented and hierarchical and network types, each suited for different data management. And few members are aware of only DBMS and RDBMS and MongoDB, but databases also there is a huge collection. So but here this video will give you a bit of information about what is database and what kind of databases, but to know more, and you guys have to wait, and we'll also give more information with respect to databases. Okay, now these are the few examples like MongoDB and Cassandra, and cloud databases like AWS RDS and Google Cloud SQL. These are the popular ones. That is where we are just placing here. Next, key database concepts. As you already know, for every language there is a core or key concepts. For a database also there is a core and key concepts, right from tables. Tables, the structure that store data in rows and columns. We are going to store data in the format of rows, and there will be a columns. Next, if you can see, records, individual entries within a table, records and rows. People will call records and rows. That is called individual entries, individual record. Next, fields and columns. This is fields and columns. Rows can be called as records, and even fields can be called as columns. Columns can be called as fields. Guys, columns will give an attribute of a data. So guys, if you see, when we are storing any data, if you are storing email, then we have to give a column name as email. If you are storing password, you have to give column name as password. Maybe if you are storing date of birth, we have to give a database DOB. Like that, we have to give a column names. That is how we must be in a position to use this column names as a attributes of that particular data. Think about it. If you are storing an email, and if you're not giving a relevant columns, attributes will give more information about that particular data. That is what we learned in HTML, we learned in many other places. The concept of attribute remains same. It gives more information about that particular column. So same technique we are also using. Nothing new, but you should know how to relate your knowledge which is already learned into database. Then computer science is dead easy if you guys can correlate concepts between one language to another. But if you guys are not able to relate or correlate, I'm sure it will be difficult. Okay. Then at the same time, primary key and foreign key. These are the important key concept of database. Primary key, it is you see that unique identifier of a record that cannot be duplicated. However, Aadhaar, that cannot be duplicated. Driving license cannot be duplicated. Even voter ID cannot be duplicated. It's the identity of a record. Similarly, while storing the data inside a database, make sure that for each record, there should be an identity. That is where this primary key comes into the picture. Next, foreign key. A field in one table that links to a primary key in another table. This is called a relation. Guys, listen carefully. A user ID 1, inside an order table, he might have ordered 10 products. Then for each product, user ID would have been mapped as a foreign key in the secondary table. In a primary table, user table, that user ID can act as a primary key. In an order table, the same user ID is acting as a foreign key to maintain the relationship between these two tables. Quite interesting, right? That is how, even if you guys are, even more, if you enter into deep dive, you will definitely learn a lot of logical and, interesting concepts. Don't worry. This is how to maintain a relationship between two tables or multiple tables. This primary and foreign key concepts are going to be useful. So hope you understand these are the important key concepts. Yes, of course, if you go for a different databases, yes, there are different key concepts are there, but I'm talking about only structure related. Okay. So next, functions of database. See, a DBMS manages data storage, retrieval and updates. That is what we already discussed. Now you see, it can be used to store the data, retrieval the data and update the data. Of course, you can even delete the data. That is where And if you guys are aware of DBMS, I think we have already seen in SQL data definition, DDL, definition language, data manipulation language, transaction control language. I hope you guys have already seen how to create a database. Creating a database you should aware, and how to create a columns, how to alter the columns, and how are we going to insert the data, then how to fetch the data from a database, how to update the data into a database, and how are we going to execute this commit and rollbacks. This is all we have learned, right, in our academics. So then that is where this is one of the main functions that database takes care. Next, user management. This is something which is quite interesting, dears. User management, that is called role-based databases. Role. So you see that majority of the people, those who are freshers, who are fresh graduates, so yes, people are aware of database basic concept, but still they don't know what is role-based. For them, I'm just giving you an information. Just an example, in your home, however, your father is acting as a super admin. Maybe your mother can act as an admin. So your brother or a sister can act as a manager, and you can act as a user. This is how you see that your father has a right to delete or alter or create any kind of asset or any kind of data in your home because he is a super admin. But the same rules and regulations or roles might not be possible for a mother. But here I am not dominating anyone. Please don't take me into that directions. But here, yes, in every database there is a super admin, managers, users, guest users. Now think about it. If you guys are logged into a system as a guest user, do you have a permission to delete any of your orders? Because you are a guest user. Your account is not been created. If you are not created, how the orders are going to be mapped? Hope you guys are listening and hope you are thinking. Guest users are just a website visitors, and they can just serve the product, they can buy. But in order to maintain the orders of that particular user, then you have to convert that user as a logged in user. There is a lot of techniques out there, don't worry. And for that, the project, you guys have to work on a project to understand all the roles and responsibilities. That can also be possible by using user management. Allows multiple users to interact with the database simultaneously. Next, data security protects the data from unauthorized access. And yes, of course, we have to protect our data. Otherwise, there is no point of storing the information. So for that, even in database is sensitive layer. Okay. And if everyone are keep hitting their request, we have to protect that system. Otherwise, there's no point of storing the information. Anybody can steal information. Think about it. In your home, you have a secret almare. In your secret almare, your mother and father or you have stored all the gold ornaments or silver, diamond. If anyone is easy to access, where is the privacy? Similarly, database privacy also important, security is also important. For that, there is a lot of techniques are there. We can deep dive into that. Next, database backups and recovery. Backup is important. Something goes wrong. What happens? There are many times even there is no guarantee of data nowadays due to cyber attacks. No matter even how much protective measures that you take, still there is attackers can attack. That is where regular backups plays a very important role. Even some hardware components fails, then automatically there is an option for you guys to recover. That is where today even any disasters happens, still there is an option for us to recover the data. So these are the important functions that you guys have to understand. Next, advantages. Now if you all can see that, what is the advantage of going for a database? Efficient data management. Yes, of course, if you guys are maintaining the data in an efficient way, then retrieval can also be easy. Guys, listen carefully. It sounds like a storage room. If you go to the storeroom, if the data is properly stored in your storeroom, if any data is required, picking is easy because you are well organized. But if you are not organized well, then retrieval will become very tough. That's why database is helping you to efficiently manage the data. Next, improved data sharing. Guys, if you need any data to be shared, there is just, if you are maintaining a data in a proper way, it is in one click, you will be able to download the data in the format of either Excel sheets or PDF formats or maybe comma separated CSV formats. There are multiple options are there. That is possible to share the data as quickly as possible. And reduce data redundancy. Redundancy is nothing but a duplicate data. So to avoid this duplicate, I think we must have to follow some sort of one-to-one and one-to-many or many-to-many. These are the different kind of anomalies that we have to find out. That is called relationships. we should know where to use one-to-one, where to use one-to-many, where to use many-to-many. These kind of relationships also a little bit important. For that, I hope you guys are already aware. Maybe if you're not aware, try to refresh yourself. What is normalization techniques? There is first normal form, second normal form, third normal form, bisequent normal form. This is all the concepts of database. You please try to understand that. If you don't know, please try to comment, and I'm there to give that information as free of cost. Don't worry about it. Okay. Next, better data security. So security also important. How to secure your data. That is where I think if you are storing any sensitive information like passwords or maybe OTPs or different kind of sensitive data, then ultimately we have to encrypt them. So for that, there is MD5 encryption algorithms are there, SHA-1 algorithms are there, which will convert your data in the form of 128-bit characters, so that if someone steals, someone enters into your network, they might not be able to collect it. Hope you guys follow this. Okay. Next, backup and recovery. This is also one of the important aspect. If something goes wrong with respect to your database, or if hardware component fails, and frequent backups and regular updates or regular backups will definitely save our data. Why? Because if the data is not there, however, I also have a lot of data, and if the data is not there in my brain, I might not be able to present today. That is why some people, brainless people, hope you guys have already seen in your network, they'll be keep talking, there is no relation between anything. They'll be keep on talking something which is not related to the concept. That is called brainless people. As if they know everything, they will try to keep talking. If any brainless people are there, please comment their name also in the video, then I'm sure. Let's see how many brainless people are there in your network. So I'm just joking. Now here, you guys have to understand what are the real world applications of a database. Everywhere database is required. Guys, if the application is only static, no database is required. But even if the application has one page, if you guys would like to convert that into dynamic, database connectivity is mandatory to convert static application to dynamic. That you already aware. Now you see banking system. Today, if you are making any transactions online, how are we going to record all the transaction information? So yes, of course, you are going to any tea shop and you are just scanning and you are paying amount, and that should be tracked somewhere else. It should be stored somewhere else. That is where database comes into the picture. Okay. The banking sector also we are using for managing accounts and transactions and customer data, and even in e-commerce, you all can see that the database, the backend system can store all the products, and users can even see the products. That's where you see that storing product information and user profiles. Yes, being a user, I can create an account in e-commerce application like Flipkart or Amazon or XYZ, and I'll be able to surf and I'll be able to add more products, and I can even buy the products. All the information with respect to the user, we are going to create a user modules. And of course, orders we can maintain. Not only this, there are many modules, but for you to understand on a high level, we are just giving you this information. Next, when it comes to the healthcare department, even in any hospitals now, most of the hospitals have their own software in order to maintain the inpatient data and outpatient data. Of course, they are using AI system to understand what are the problems, how to diagnose, and there are a lot of technologies are using. That's where AI also coming into healthcare. That is different concept altogether. We can even work on that particular concept later. So now managing patient records and hospital data. Yes, of course, databases are required, and social media platforms like you see Facebook or Insta, Pinterest or Twitter, LinkedIn, or job portals like Naukri or Indeed or whatever it is. Storing user data, post and interactions. This is all much important. That is where databases comes into the picture. These are the few examples that we explained, but nowadays the database usage is drastically increased day by day. So it's a backbone for application developers, especially for full stack engineers. However, you guys have to give an importance to front end. Same way you have to give an importance to back end. Similarly, you have to give an importance to the database. So these three guys are the important concept of a full stack, and it is also important for every software engineer. Thank you so much. And thank you so much. I think this information is helpful for you. Like our video, share our video to your friends, and subscribe for more content. Thank you so much for watching. Jai Hind.